Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I'm Amabel.
and welcome back to Amabel Goes to Forex School. We're taking a brief little detour before we jump into our next, heavy subject here to talk about some things that are kind of like offshoots from the celestial Forex, the space Forex, and particularly some things that are the answer to a question you kept asking over the last couple of Endless Space episodes, which is like, has anybody ever tried to do one of these things, but fast? What if you took out all the soup?
Yeah.
So this is the core idea behind Space Tyrant. What if you could do a 4x? What if you could do a whole game of a space 4x on your lunch break? So the way they've got this rigged up is a little strange. There's skirmish mode, which is just like a fast game. This is the middle of a campaign. I put us in the middle of a campaign mode here. I played through the beginning of a campaign, which is like a bunch of small games linked together. And I'll explain this sort of structure later. Right now, let's just jump into something somewhere. So all we got is 3 stars. Sure, we'll just do this one. So we pick a commander here. We are playing as the slug, the party slug faction.
Okay.
Which is a thing, and we're just gonna play this game. So, I got DJ Days terribly wounded in battle, so we're gonna be playing as Cargo here. He's like they're all slug DJs from space.
Okay.
Our deck is the slug deck with only some of the cards unlocked, and we get to take into each battle, into each game, some artifacts. So we have an armor slot here. We're going to earn credits equal to Empire Unrest every turn. The Battle-Worn Staff that lets us start with 1 XP over any of the rest of these. Yeah. And a Ruby Crown that gives us +4 research whenever we capture a planet. Sounds good. So we'll have a couple of different goals here. 1 control type goal and 1 credits type goal. These are objectives where if we get either one of them, we win the game.
Okay.
And there'll be another artifact as a reward. And we'll talk about what all this stuff means. I want to get into the actual meat of the gameplay, and then we'll talk about the scaffolding around it.
All right.
So, trim all the fat, right? Cut it down as much as you can possibly cut it down. What is left in the gameplay of the Space 4X? We got a +1 leader level, or your leader immediately dies. Moderate chance. Yeah, put that in my hand. Fuck it. We'll do that first turn. That sounds rad. Okay, so you got your node map, right? Planets connected by little lanes you can travel along. You got your fleets with which you do combat. You got your deck of cards. And remarkably, this game came out in the long ago of 2018. So this was before everything was a card game.
Okay.
But yeah, they do this this is how they sort of represent some of the I don't know, it's sort of like a tech tree kind of, in that you're improving your deck over time, but you're gonna see there's sort of 2 levels to the development in this. Basically, we have some crystals every turn that we can use to play cards, and our cards do things like augment our research rate or give our ships extra abilities in battle. The thing of the Techno Slug party is research, so we have a lot of research focused cards. I'm going to go ahead and play Transcendence on our leader. We're either going to gain a level or our leader's going to explode immediately. Sick, we gained the level. When your leader gains a level, the number of ships that they can carry in their army increases, which is the primary reason I did that, because I want to have lots of ships. So here's our fleet, our starting fleet. We have this sick battleship, we have a cruiser, we have a destroyer, and we have a frigate, and you can see they all have their various stats over there. Each one of them also has a special power, and you're going to see how these work in combat in just a second. For the moment, I am just going to hire 2 frigates, because that's the only way we can afford 2 ships right now. We do not have a lot of money, we do not have a lot of income. Let's solve those problems. We're going to take our fleet, and we're going to make a move over to... Oh, this is a one-way passage. Never mind. So you can see each planet has some resource that it produces every turn. And I guess what we're actually going to do is go over here and get more crystals. So we've encountered another fleet. That's Scrunto. And here's how combat works in this game. They really boiled it down. All of the ships have sort of an internal firing cooldown, and they just attack whenever they want to attack, and you can't target or anything. They just kind of do whatever they want. The control that you have over the battle is, you can see they have these little lightning bolts above them. We're gonna have a power meter up in the corner, and it's gonna charge up over time. And when it is charged enough, I can click on a ship to have them draw power to use their special ability. So like once we get to 2 bolts here, I can use the sweet rail ability of this thing. There you go, to just fire a laser. These are the only attacks that are like targetable in any way. As you can see, the ships are just kind of doing their own thing. Our commander also has an ability allowing him to create like little spaceship echoes for the enemies to get confused by. And mostly we just sit there and watch. We click on things when we have enough lightning bolts. And that's it. That's a combat.
Oons.
Yeah, it's like the you know, like a techno beat. Like oons, 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 oons.
Oh, is that a... Okay.
That's what they're trying to do there. They have spelled it in a way that is completely mad. Nobody would ever do that, but that's what they've done. All right, so we attacked the planet, and because we rolled higher on our attacking die than the planet's defense, we've taken it over. This planet has a species of gigantic proto-sentience native to it. How will you manage them? Well, we are, so as you can tell, we are a space tyrant. We are sort of a cartoon supervillain. This is a real like Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibe to this whole proceeding. So, you know, in a lot of games I would like study them or whatever. Here, I think we should become their god emperor. And you get a roll based on your choice. Uh-oh, the giants become enraged. You must permanently devote part of the planet garrison to suppressing them, so the planet has become vulnerable, which reduces its defense value. But this planet will now produce for us 2 crystals every turn. And we still have some cards in hand, so let's spend those crystals on some things. All right. We have produced enough tech. You can see here. You can tell it's a 4x. You're producing money and science. We've produced enough tech to get over our next technology threshold. So, up the tech tree we go. And the only game instance technologies that there are ship improvements. So, we just make our ships slowly better over the course of the scenario here. You know, we got one of a cruiser already. Let's improve our cruisers. Plus 14 damage for the cruisers. And if you saw, all of the improvements there they're very simple things like plus damage or plus health or whatever. Because again, like the battle is mostly automated, right? So all you could really do is like tweak the numbers. And that's a turn. So over here we have our tyranny meter. This is a critical part of the game. You can see the part that is filled with the scary blue up to the top of the brain is our current level of tyranny, and the red bit at the bottom is our unrest. At the end of every turn, our tyranny is reduced by our unrest, and if after that process our tyranny is 0 or lower, we have been overthrown by the people that we are lording over, and we lose the scenario. So we got to make sure that doesn't happen. You can see, there we go. And we are racing to get to one of the scenario objectives before that occurs. So we either have to get 1,400 credits in the bank, or we have to control 60% of the planets in the scenario.
Okay.
Our ship, I believe our ships our fleets have 2 movement by default. And whenever we're at a friendly planet, we can employ the shipyard to pick up additional bodies. I think I'm going to save because I'd like to get another cruiser, since we bought an improvement for cruisers. So we're going to go over to this research planet, which is undefended, revealing a little bit more of the map to us. And let's try to invade. It's got a defense of 3, so we're looking to roll at least 3 on this die, which is numbered. It's a standard 6-sided die, but it's numbered 0 through 5.
Okay.
That's a shame. Okay, we didn't get it, but you saw there we gained a little bit of tyranny, a point of tyranny for bombing a planet. That's an evil thing. And you're just encouraged to do a lot of evil things.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have dance crewed on the. I didn't look at our new card. Add 1 frigate per 3 defense. We were at a 3 defense planet. I think I could have dance crewed. Actually, it might be friendly worlds. Well, whatever. We could have added frigates to our fleet for free, and I didn't. But I will spend a crystal on pushing us over the tech threshold, and we're just going to grab another technology to improve the plasma ball ability of the cruisers. And we'll just hold on to this card. So every turn we're drawing 1 card out of our deck. Oh no, the planet has become allied with the Senate, and as such has grown a major enemy fleet here. That's a real problem. So let me test the functionality of this card. Yeah, okay, it did just give us 2 free frigates. That's kind of neat. The thing is, we actually have enough money to afford 2 cruisers, so I'm wondering if I want to maybe, instead of putting those 2 free frigates in the fleet, sell them back and just throw another cruiser in here. I think that's what I'm going to do. So we'll sell those back for a portion of their value. That's fine. Because, our cruisers are so upgraded, right? And then we can spend our 2nd point of movement to go back to this planet and finish invading it. Now, there is a 0 on the die, so it is still possible that we might fail here. Invading a planet costs all of your fleet's remaining movement and actions, but we did get 10 tyranny for taking it over, and of course now we have more output, right? This is how 4X's work. You get territory produces resources. We're really cooking on the technology. I think we're just gonna like completely upgrade this ship type. So the upgrades are static from run to run for the most part. Like the first upgrade to the carrier ship is always 75 health. The second one's always going to be the same. But every once in a while you get the appearance of a rare upgrade that will give you a 5th choice in the line that will let you very slightly alter a ship. For the most part, this one gets pretty samey pretty fast, in my opinion. Like,
yeah.
The different instances, different scenarios feel pretty samey. So you can see ships, planets that are owned by the Senate will implement these projects that will make them more resistant to your reign in various ways. They're going to add defense to that thing. I am going to head over to this prison world where evil slug warlords have been imprisoned so that we can attempt to free one of them. Damn it. Well, that's just a whole wasted turn. What fun. Ooh, you know what? I'll do this. So we pay 3 crystals to put Genius and Doomed on a lab world. Genius, of course, doubling the science output, but Doomed meaning it will explode in 8 turns. That's fine. That's a lot of extra science in the meantime. But because we didn't really get anything accomplished that turn, that's like a big hit to our tyranny level. And the planets around us are all fortifying like crazy, and there's rebels that have to be put down over there. This is bad news. So this card allows us to just blow up 2 points of a planet's defense, and in fact, if you currently have a fleet at that planet and you reduce it to 0, it gets conquered without us having to spend fleet actions, which is nice because now we can just move on and find other things to do. At the lip of a promising cave, you are greeted by an android race which lives there. While cordial, they refuse your request to enter. And this, I believe, is a Futurama reference. I think this is the robot council from an episode of Futurama that takes place on a robot planet. There's a lot of reference humor in this game.
That makes sense.
So we can lure them into a logic trap or threaten to destroy their home. You pick up exploration traits over the course of a scenario by picking various options, and then those traits can help you in future exploration events. We don't have any currently. So I'm going to lure them into a logic trap. They're androids. This will work, right? Oh boy, that's a high roll. The androids, after some time, figure out a way out of the loop, but in doing so, set off their ordnance on the planet. Does that mean, yep, they destroyed the whole planet? Well, that's fine. We got what we wanted out of it, which was a 2nd fleet. I'm just gonna make room for another cruiser because we're going very heavy on the cruisers right now.
Okay.
And then we have 2 fleets that each have a couple points of movement. Oh, and we have a lot of science. Yeah, improve the plasma ball even further. Any ship touched by the plasma ball loses defense. So I'm going to have this fleet run down here and then across to here. Let's see if we can conquer this real fast. So at the beginning of each battle, you get to choose a tactic. This is just 3 totally randomly selected tactics from the big pool of all tactics. And this is a button you can press once during the battle to do the effect here. None of these are interesting or good, so I'm gonna pick this one. A free frigate for every 3 energy you have. Whatever. The important thing we're doing here is we're using the party ball from the cruisers because we've got it so upgraded. So a thing about slug ships is that they have shields. So you got to get a fair amount of damage in on them. These little ships have the ability volley, which just causes them to fire 1 extra time. And then our new commander has the damage boost ability, which makes everybody do more damage when they shoot. And maybe I could have ordered those better. And you'll see every once in a while, a ship will become inspired and it will get a second charge of its ability. But for the most part, once you've fired a ship's ability, you no longer have any control over it at all. And so once you've sort of done your initial round of clicks, you're just kind of sitting there watching. Because the thing is, if you're going to try to make one of these things faster, you got to take out a lot of the stuff. And what is the stuff that makes them slow? It's decision making, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Inside an abandoned factory, you find operational droids mindlessly fussing away at a spotless interior. Well, we are scientists, so we can spend 5 tech to ship the droids off to be reverse engineered in your labs. We can pay 10 money to weld lasers to their heads and wire them into the defense net of the planet. I love reverse engineering. I love doing things with technology. While in transit to your labs, the robots break out of their containment and escape. So you can see there's just like a die roll at the back end of every choice. So you can never it's very difficult to do anything on purpose in this game. It's always like, well, let's press a button and a die will get rolled and I guess we'll fucking see what will happen. Oh, man, look at this. A $70 per turn planet. That would more than double our income. But that fleet there is considerable. As you can see, our fleet is currently a 2x5. Their fleet is the same and also completely full. And I'm always a little nervous to take on a fair fight.
Yeah.
Fair fights
are
for suckers, for sure.
Yeah.
The thing is, if we ran over to this thing, the fortified interlink node, which gives you science, but it's fortified, we actually can't roll a 6. So we would definitely be here trying to break through the defense for at least 2 turns. So I don't really like any of our options here. And somebody's got to do something about these rebels. I don't really want to send the big fleet back for that. I think we probably will not. I think we'll use this little fleet to come back and solve that problem. So I guess I'm going to try it. I'm going to try to win this battle. I don't have high hopes.
I'm crossing my fingers for you.
Because they have a carrier ship here, which is scary news. Yeah, heal one of your ships 50%, sure. So we're going to start here with a sweet rail attack on this big ship. Basically, I'm just going to pound the big ship with all of our real weaponry.
Yeah.
There we go. We're through the shields. You can see it's launching fighters, which then just basically attach themselves to one of your ships and make its life miserable. Let's throw the heal out on this ship. We'll summon some fake ships there, and yeah, we got through the carrier in reasonable shape, so I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah, but so much of a battle, and it's hard to even tell when there's that many ships firing, really what decisions are being made and what's affecting what. but so much of the battles comes down to dumb luck. And I don't know if you noticed, but like, not all of the projectiles are actually hitting anything. Sometimes the ship will shoot at another ship and just hard miss, just shoot the shot wide, and like, so much of it comes down to random factors. It is a very, very random game. Your advisors have determined this planet is a good candidate for improvements and experimental effects. Well, shit, try it. Let's see what happens. It has gained the cash out power. Collect $20 or wait for interest. Ooh, let's wait for interest. So, when we are at a high enough tyranny level, when our tyranny level is, I think, 90 or higher, it unlocks the death ray power, which allows us to spend some tyranny to just blow up ships in an enemy fleet. As always, 1 to 3 ships, a little bit of randomness there, just to ruin your day in case it goes badly. Okay, I mean, that's pretty good. I think that's going to be helpful.
Yeah.
And now our income is looking pretty solid. We can buy a cruiser every turn now. That's annoying. Alright, so this rebels thing that happened here, it reduces the defense value of the world every turn, and then when it gets to 0, obviously it deconquerizes itself, which is a very annoying thing for it to do. We'll show them. Hell yeah, plus 50% damage. What a good capstone technology. Alright, our cruisers are all the way upgraded. Reduce planet action progress by 1 turn. Well, all of the planet actions that we can see just completed themselves, so this won't do anything right now. We do need to replace our losses here, but fortunately, we make just enough money to make that happen. And, I mean, we're doing a pretty good job pushing for control here. So, Amabel.
Yeah.
I have been talking non-stop since the episode started.
I've been observing.
I am going to stop talking so much right now. What do you think? Like, here is an answer to your question. Has anyone ever tried to sort of like cut this stuff down to the bone, right? What do you think of this sort of answer to that?
I mean, so a couple things. First of all, it feels very cut.
Yes.
Agreed. As in a way where I'm not getting the texture as much. And of course, you're going to sacrifice some of the texture regardless. Mm-hmm. Like, if you look at the example I come to a lot is something like historical simulation gaming, or something like the 18xx series of board games where they're long and a little tedious, but if you make them short and streamlined, you lose a lot of the texture. You're going to.
Can I interrupt you to point out that when we defeated this acid vomiting space slug monster, he said, "The party abides, man."
That's not.
This is the level of the reference humor. It's not even connected to anything. It's not a clever. It's literally just, hey, remember this other piece of media that exists?
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Well, the other thing is that, and this might be more a personal preference, like the thing I find really kind of fascinating about the Forex stuff you've shown me
Big middle
are
finger.
like the build queues.
Mm-hmm.
There are no build queues here.
No, certainly not.
Where are my build queues?
How are you going to make it faster? You gotta take out all the stuff.
Yeah, there's just too much stuff taken out. I do.
Yeah, to be clear, that's pretty much where I come down to on this as well. I think they over chopped a little bit in their excitement.
Yeah, and they're focused very intently on like the military aspects, where that's the whole game. And
it's pretty much the game. So like, one thing I do want to clarify is they maintain the idea of like the different win conditions, in that there are different pools that these scenario objectives come from, and like sometimes they are like get to a certain research output per turn, or develop this many technologies, or so they still maintain kind of the idea that there are multiple things that are important, that you're not always focused just on the one system, but the core gameplay of getting there is always very like ship conquer planet, like.
Yeah, and then the technologies you're researching are ship stuff.
Are exclusively military, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
and
so
like,
that's on this level. As you progress through the campaign, so you're like, each one of the campaign nodes is one of these star maps that you do a scenario on. But as you're progressing through that thing, you're unlocking new cards for your deck, which is sort of like a campaign level tech improvement, right? As you're getting new and better cards that do different things. And as you can see, the cards for the deck are not strictly military, right? They're related to money making, or moving your ships more efficiently, or producing extra technology, or whatever. So there's kind of like two different levels of systems going on here, and one of them is devoted to this idea of very, very fast games. I don't know. I don't really know what to think of it, honestly. So I'm saving up for our fighter tactic here, since it produces 3 fighters per energy. We're just going to press this button, press that button, and then launch all of the things.
You know, I feel there has to be a middle ground, you know, because like the idea of making the complex thing that takes long shorter is something you run into a lot. But like, you could like the cards here, like you could use cards, a hand of cards, as a way to provide meaningful constraints on what you're able to do in a turn, and that would make a turn go faster and give you a bit more decision angst.
We have rolled the far bad end of every single event so far. Our luck is incredible. Yeah, I will say that I am not necessarily a huge fan of you can only take the actions that are on the cards in your hand, and so that creates like, you know, like Memoir 44 style action systems, because in my experience, how good you are at the game has very little to do with whether or not you win in those systems, which I find extremely frustrating.
I mean, but there are ways to approach that, though. You know, there are ways like a lot of like Memoir 44 is a good example of a thing where you don't have a lot of flexibility with your hand. That whole commands and color system.
Yeah.
But if you look at something, well, you look at something like Twilight Struggle, for example. Like you are constrained by your hand, absolutely, but you're able to always play a card for ops as a basic thing, as kind of a less powerful wild.
Yeah.
And like I think, you know,
there's a lot of good sort of thought on these kinds of systems going on in the like collectible card game space, where like everybody who has made a card game since Magic has tried their hand at a way of avoiding the mana screw, mana flood problem.
Okay.
And some of those are pretty interesting.
As someone who doesn't really know collectible card games as much, can you explain that problem to me briefly as we're playing the game here?
The core resource system of Magic, right, is that you have your deck has these land cards in it, and land cards produce colored resources that you use to pay for your cards. They produce mana, and every non-land card has a mana cost. Basically, I'm oversimplifying, but just to get the idea across.
Yeah.
Better, more powerful cards cost more, and you can only play one land per turn. So the basic pacing idea of the game is, on turn 1 you play a land, and you have access to your 1 mana cards, and they're like small and pretty weak. and then turn 2 you play a second land, and you have access to your 2 mana cards, or maybe 2 1 mana cards, and so on. And then turn 5 or 6 you're like playing dragons or whatever. The problem is that requires you, because you by default only draw 1 card per turn in a game of Magic, and you start with, a hand of 7 cards, that requires you to draw a certain mixture of land and non-land cards. Your game can go very badly if you start with a hand that only has 2 lands in it, and then you don't draw any more lands. Right?
Yeah.
Turn 3, you're underpowered. Turn 4, you're vastly underpowered. And turn 5, you're looking at this huge grip of cards that you can't play, and your opponent is kicking your teeth in. Or the opposite is also true. If you keep like 4 lands and 3 non-land cards as your starting hand, and then you draw nothing but land, you run out of things to do very quickly. And your opponent will stomp you in that case as well. So the game has a really frustrating problem that is sort of core to its systems, where you can draw really badly in 2 different directions and just not be present in the game. And obviously they've done a lot of design inside of Magic to fix the problem over the years. But what's more interesting, I think, is looking at the games that come in Magic's wake, how they try to solve these problems while still also solving the core problem that the land system was created to solve, which is that idea of like tempo and why can't you play all your good cards right away kind of stuff. So you have games where like every card can be played as a resource card if you just play it face down, which is very much like the ops system that you're talking about in Twilight Struggle, or games where like every card has a kind of resource printed along the bottom edge, and if you play it upside down, it's effectively a land, or if you play it right side up, it's the other thing that it is. Or there's lots of different ways of approaching it. Or you have the Hearthstone method, which has been adopted by a lot of digital card games, where lands are not there's no lands, but you just have a resource counter that increments every turn. The first turn of Hearthstone, you have 3 crystals to play cards with. The second turn, you have 4. The third turn, you have 5. And that's just a thing that happens automatically. It's not related to your cards. So that's kind of what I was talking about.
Okay.
Anyway, we're going to court. Fuck that shit. Bring the jury. When he makes the first turn, to the astonishment of the prosecution, all charges are dropped. That one did not have a die roll behind the end of it. It turns out you can always just solve a legal problem with money. We're evil. It's one of the most evil things you can do.
We're evil, but it's not.
Fuck this.
Like there's a lot of. This is a kind of very jokey game, but it's not very funny.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like I feel like something like that should have a bit more bite.
So to be clear, so we're getting extra fleets from breaking out prisons, but you also have the ability to hire an additional fleet at your Technoslug homeworld. And look at the party never stops over here at Technoslug homeworld.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you get the tone, so that you enjoy it and have more fun with it.
All right. Well,
no, I know. It's a very sort of like it's a very light touch with its quote unquote satirical elements. Whatever you would call those.
Yeah.
And yeah, for the most part, it's just like, oof, that is a misery. That is a reminder of how bad things are in the real world. You got me. So we're gonna move this fleet twice. We're gonna have to reconquer. So every once in a while, like one of your planets just goes rebellion, and that's there's nothing to do about that. No systems or anything there, because systems would only slow you down. So shit happens at random, and you will fucking live with it. Okay, so here we go. We got a rare upgrade. We rolled a rare upgrade, so we can take the normal upgrade 1 for this ship, or we can take this alternate upgrade 1, where instead of gaining health, it gains bonus damage on its shots. Whatever. I'm gonna upgrade one of our little ships, because once a fleet hits a certain level, you can see this fleet gained a row. It gained a row, not a column. So at a certain point, it starts to become valuable to have little ships, so that you can fill in the spaces like this.
Yeah. Would you call this a 4X?
So I think that's a fair question.
Are all four X's present? And
You are
if you can
certainly
argue that they
exploring, right?
are,
We're finding out what the nodes
yeah.
are and whatever. We are exploiting every new territory we take over is giving us resources like the expansion. The expansion is obvious. We're grabbing more stuff into our territory, and then the exploitation is you're turning your expansion into resource outputs, right? The extermination is certainly present. You're constantly fighting people, and you have your multiple victory conditions, kind of, sorta, in that there's a broad variety of victory conditions across the campaign, and any individual scenario usually has two different approaches you can aim for. So I think they've kind of got the skeleton. I think, yeah, this counts, but it's at like the very bottom edge, personally.
See, for me, I think, and I'm not an expert. I am the student,
Hey,
of
lucky
course, in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, for me, exploiting it's also about what you're.
Villainy.
Well, all right.
Hey, it worked.
I do feel like the kind of choosing what to build in each city or place, choosing what, how to use the resources of each city or planet to create and upgrade things is like a core part of the exploitation. And maybe that's just because that's the thing that's the most interesting to me mechanically.
Yeah.
Is where that's coming from. Maybe other people disagree very strongly that that's a
I think anybody's gonna agree with you, regardless of what their feeling is on the question, yes or no. I think anybody's gonna agree that this is like kind of an edge case. Like this is close to the line, whichever the side of the line you think it's on.
And I wonder how much of it is. My feeling is just because so much is weighted towards the kind of like everything else is bent towards the purpose of the military expansion, the extermination axis of sick beats of the genre.
Yeah, well, so I think a thing that is useful to remember is that for some percentage of people, 4X games are primarily military games. There's a lot of people who play the game because they want to, they just want to. Have you heard the phrase "paint the map"? The idea of map painting.
I did in a conversation with you yesterday or the day before. Other than that,
okay. If you engage with like the spaces, fuck you. Come on, boy. I sure wish there was anything I could do to make that not one of the outcomes. I'm gonna send these guys back to deal with the rebels. Fleet action, crush rebellion. There we go. Problem solved. I didn't want to use them for combat because this fleet is still small and pathetic. Yeah, there's if you hang out in the strategy spaces, if you go to places where people talk about these games, a thing that you will become aware of is that for a huge number of people, or at least a huge percentage of the people who talk about these games on fora and whatnot, the core element of the game is do military to other players. That seems crazy to me because almost no 4X game has interesting combat systems. It's basically like just Amplitude's games, in my opinion. Although we're going to see, it depends to some degree on what you count as a 4X, because there are some games that are very combat focused that do have real combat systems that I think lean into that stuff so much that they stop being 4Xs. But where you draw the line influences how true the thing I'm saying is. This doesn't matter. But yeah, I think that there there's so little interesting combat to be had in these games that it's wild to me that there are people who play them for the combat, but absolutely is the case. And so for a person like that, whose primary interest in the genre is that, I think that this probably feels like it's doing more of the thing, right? Like, they would already be primarily in a Space 4X, just flying fleets around looking for people to kill. And the idea of map painting comes from, the fact that you conquer a thing and then that part of the map is your color. And there are a lot of people who don't care about the victory conditions at all and are just here to turn the whole map their color. To the point that I saw people in the Civ 7 Steam forum complaining that the game ends when you hit the victory, the end timer, and they want to be able to dismiss that and finish conquering the world. That's the only reason they're here to play, and they would like a refund if they can't do that.
Oh.
More than one person I saw. People, this is one of the biggest problems that the 4X genre has, probably, is that
the audience.
Literally, yes. One of the biggest problems that the 4X genre has, as far as direction, as far as how to continue to evolve, is that a lot of people are coming to it for a lot of different reasons. And trying to satisfy them all is going to create the soup.
Yeah.
Found a renowned bounty hunter locked away. He begs for his freedom. Listen, I would love for you to have a job. Indolence. Bounty hunters are an idle and indolent lot. Perhaps a motivational speech will help.
Also,
that was the end of that event. What?
I'm surprised that you you said it's surprising that so many play the games for the combat, because the combat systems are all kind of junk.
Pretty whack, yeah.
But people play Mortal Kombat for the combat, and Mortal Kombat sucks. The combat in Mortal Kombat's terrible.
All right, Amabel, literally just trying to find a way to upset people. This is what happens. I go to all this trouble to give you, information, teach you things. You're just like, how can I get her yelled at online? What could I say?
They wouldn't yell at you. They'd yell at me.
No,
I'm the annoying one. I'm the annoying one people don't like. They like you.
Oh, sweetie. A prominent senator has put forward a bill that intends to send direct military aid to border planets. If the bill passes, conquering nearby planets will be much harder. I don't have whatever trait allows you to deal with this in a calm way, so we panic. With no major opposition, the only option now is to terrify worlds into refusing help by destroying as many ships as possible. Disaster imminent. Uh-oh. We got incoming. Military aid in 4 turns, prevent by destroying 45 enemy ships. Okay. We'll see what we can do about that. So I'm going to use both of my space cracks here to flip this planet without spending any fleet actions on it. Oh, you can't do both. Okay. Well, never mind then. I'm not going to do that.
I think...
Shoot. Well, I wish I hadn't done it with either of them, but whatever. It's fine.
I think you made a good point about it becoming the soup because they're trying to satisfy so many different people coming to the game for so many different reasons. And
yeah, they don't have good focus. They're not I think the one of the biggest problems with Civ is that Civ can't decide what it's about.
Yeah, and I certainly would appreciate more.
Look at all of those shots just missing. Holy shit.
Oh. Certainly appreciate more focus. But this doesn't feel like focus. This feels because focus implies a level of depth for me.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So I would probably like to engage with a 4X game that had a military focus, that had some depth and meat to it, or one that did that with the production cues, or one that did that with the exploration and using of resources in that way.
we discovered a sample of the famed Musashi serum, and we edited it into our soldiers with science. And now our troops have gained the unparalleled melee skills of Musashi. And they don't make it clear what they mean by that. It's just that has happened. But what it means is now we have an extra conquer die with like the numbers 1 through 3 on it, so it helps us conquer planets more effectively. We're kicking ass on science. We're doing so much science. I'm going to continue shooting my death ray at the fleets with the big ships in them. Got him. Because the thing is, it destroys 1 to 3 ships. It's not like damage based or health based, so it has exactly the same chance of destroying the crummy little 20 health frigates as it does destroying a whole carrier. And it sure did. It sure did destroy a whole carrier there, which is rad. So you can see my my sort of capital murder fleet here has become very large and terrifying. The overworm. I'm sure that's somehow an internet meme or something. I don't recognize it, but you know, there's a lot of them out there these days. Look at how good the party ball gets. Look at that. Yeah, this like all cruiser upgrades all the time strategy is pretty solid, I think. And like I said, the ship upgrades are the same from, you know, scenario to scenario. So once you find a build you like, you can just kind of use that one all the time. All right, thank you, Musashi virus or Musashi serum. Look at all this science we're accumulating. You discover a group of traitors in your midst, actively planning against your tyranny. I will duel their leader. With one quick strike, you take down their leader. The rest of the traitors try to flee. So yeah, I've like been accumulating these traits over the course of the long campaign. So like I know how to duel, and I'm a scientist and whatnot. And that stuff is, again, it's a little bit like science in the sense that it's like a long-term permanent improvement to your mission capabilities over the whole game. I don't know. It's pretty. Oh, don't you dare! Don't you dare! Ah, I needed that money. So we're like pretty close, kinda. We have 3 active fleets going, and we have a bunch of money now, so I can hire on another fleet over here. That's going to help, certainly. Okay. So with 4 fleets and a large and impressive set of ship technologies, beam volley has a 50% chance to double fire. That's pretty cool. You know, the rate at which we are conquering the galaxy is certainly accelerating.
Yeah.
Let's go get some more money over here. I maybe should have shot these guys with the death ray. Whatever, it's fine. We'll just laser strike the middle row. You can see every once in a while one of your ships gets breached, which is like a totally random thing that occurs when you take damage. And you have to spend 1 power to repair the breach. So that's a little bit more like reactive. This design where you're like you have to click on the thing when it lights up before your ship takes too much damage or whatever. It feels very like mobile game to me.
Okay.
But I mean, if you're looking at a way to make a game pretty functional and pretty fast, mobile games are not like a crazy place to look, I think. 0 plus 3, cool. Thanks, everybody. Let me score an extra couple of frigates here for free as well. I should have done this before attacking the planet, but whatever. All right, and then we have let's death ray this fleet, because I was kind of hoping to destroy exactly one of those ships, but I didn't really want to fight the big cruiser thing with our brand new guy. All right, so we control that, and you can see, look at how painted this map is getting. We're doing it. We're living the dream. All right, do I think this fleet can handle a very similar opposing fleet? He's a militia with damage boost. We're a militia with damage boost. I'm going to try it at least. So the enemy does develop ship technology over time. I don't actually know for sure what they have right now. But I do know that I'm going to damage boost us. And then I'm going to fire volleys while the damage boost is active. Try to make use of our technology here. But yeah, our ships are spreading their damage a lot, which is really hurting us. Okay, wow, they didn't lose anything. And that was like almost entirely down to luck. It's just because our ships refused to focus on a target.
See, I like the combat system in Endless Space, where you don't have a whole lot of control. But first of all, those are a lot more engaging to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know you love to watch them.
And I don't know, it feels like you get hosed less by output randomness, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you're getting there.
So good news, we have a card in our hand that deals 2 damage to a planet. We've been waiting for just such an opportunity. But yeah, this is kind of the thing. So this is one take on, hey, what if we did it faster? We're gonna look at a couple more in the next couple of episodes. That's where we're headed. A thing you're going to see is that these takes on what if we did it faster are basically all Space 4X's. They're all coming from that same well. And I do think that that's interesting. I've never really seen somebody try the what if we went real fast in a terrestrial form.
Well, it feels like this kind of node-based, planet-based, fleet-based thing fits better for a streamlined approach where you're looking at it from at a larger scale, whereas there's a degree to which the terrestrial 4X that we've seen, at least, even though they are, you know, strategy games, they're heavily tactical as far as the movement. And that's always going to make things take longer. You know, this is a thing like in Hex Encounter games, like tactical games take much longer than strategic level ones. You know, one time at a convention, I watched a couple of fellas playing Advanced Squad Leader, which is a game with a 300-page rule book that comes in a 3-ring binder. And a turn of that took 15 to 20 minutes to play and represented 8 seconds of real-world time. And I feel that that's off. I feel like the thing you're doing in a game should never take less time than time it takes you to do it. If you're
Boy,
You
I
know.
really can't agree with that at all.
No,
That's
like
that's an interesting thought.
like if you're playing a Space 4X game, right?
Yeah.
It should not take you 2 years to, it takes 2 years to go from Earth to Mars, right? It should not take you 3 years to play that in the game.
But like,
It
I
should
mean,
be
any modeling
should
of
be
any
shorter.
modeling of any complexity, like,
Well, that's just it. Is how complex is the model going to be? Something that
like you basically with that system, you can't model anything that doesn't take a lot of real world time. Like a gun, any kind of person level combat is always going to fall afoul of that idea, right?
Well,
you couldn't do a
And-
gunfight. You couldn't do. So I know that you're like half joking, but that really is like that really doesn't work.
I am half joking, but then I also, I think a lot about the purpose of a model, which is, I understand a lot of people play these kind of modeling sort of games for more ludic reasons rather than modeling reasons. So I'm coming at it from a very perhaps unusual stance. But, there's a famous thing that George Box said. George Box? Whatever his first name was, which is that all models are wrong, but some are useful.
Yeah.
And you can't create a more accurate model by being more detailed, but you can create a useful one. So it's what is the use of a model where I spend 15 minutes representing 8 seconds of World War II soldiers running around? For me, that's not necessarily.
Hey, we gained a trait.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of output randomness in this game, and it's still here's the thing. So we've been playing this for like an hour.
Yeah.
And at least in theory, this is stripped down like this to avoid the soup.
Yeah.
It feels like soup.
It's still getting well. You might be using the word. You might be using that word differently than we have been using it.
Probably. That's the great thing about words is you can meld meanings. I'm sorry. This feels more like thin gruel.
So I've got these two ship types pretty upgraded. I'm trying to rely very, very heavily on them. Let's go. Well, so I need to break up some of this counter push that we're experiencing. I don't really want to attack that fleet with all the big ships in it. But I guess like getting them while they're weakened is probably the best thing to do. I'm going to attempt to improve this very low level commander here. You're either going to gain a level or you're going back on cooldown. Okay. So this big fleet here. So you can see when we lose a commander, they just they disappear for a couple of turns, and then when their cooldown is up, they reappear at the home world, generally with a whole bunch of ships already. So it doesn't take you a huge amount of time to like rebuild from a loss, and it does avoid a little bit of the sort of snowball problem where you lose one battle and it leads to you very quickly losing a whole war.
Yeah, but what the snowball problem is rad actually. What if I like that?
Trying real hard to just like cook off any of their ships, like all of their stuff. It's really frustrating how much we're getting like these problems of our ships are all shooting at different things and their ships are all shooting at the same thing, such that I'm losing a larger fleet to a smaller force due to frustrating luck. And like with the party balls, you can at least aim them, but with the volley ability on the smaller ships, it just they target wherever they want to target, and it's very frustrating. We now have an extra siege die as well, so we're really good at conquering planets, but we're having some trouble in the combat for reasons that are kind of nonsense. And of course, the 2 planets they managed to take from us were the planets that were generating all of our money, so that's a little bit of a snowball problem.
Yeah.
We could stop spending money and just try to push to Bank King, I guess. Yeah, now we have to go send somebody back and get that, and hey, mad science. So let's gain a technology. I don't know, we'll pick up this and then gain a technology at random. Okay. It's a shame that we're upgrading different ships with those random technologies, but what are you going to do? It's random. That's the thing about it. These should be very winnable battles. We have a massive size advantage here. I'm looking for, like, where have we removed the shields of the middle ships, so we send the one aimable attack there. But then if the rest of our ships just want to spend their time working the outsides or whatever, I don't really have any control over that. We can seal breaches when they appear. One big downside, certainly, of having small ships is that when you get the random inspiration charges that happen periodically, obviously it's always a big bummer when it hits a small ship instead of a big ship. Let's take a big heal on one of our large ones here. Wow, I thought that ship had just been hit by a laser, and so firing the party ball at it would kill it, but that is not how that worked. I'm not sure what that laser effect was. I guess, whatever, it doesn't really matter. The important thing is, I do think we're going to win this time. We managed to pull most of their small ships down, so our ships kind of can't help but focus at this point. But it's still a lot of sitting here and watching.
Yeah.
So fast forward button.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's use that.
Okay, so we eliminated a bunch of them. Hack enemy sensors into seeing 3 decoy ships, and the fleet size is even greater. It is still technically possible for us to only roll 2 damage, so I'm glad that we got a conquer there. And now that our income's getting pretty good, it does look like Bank King is maybe a possibility. An outlandishly dressed person appears in your audience hall claiming to be a tourist from the future. Ransom. Do a ransom. Unfortunately, it turns out to only be a charlatan. Well, if I'm just gonna roll bad on every event, Amabel, we have so much technology.
Yeah.
Do I want to spend enough money? I mean, we gotta do something. It is a little bit of a shame that these 2 objectives are directly opposed, because controlling planets requires spending money to keep your ships floating, or your fleets recruiting. And in particular, I would really like to get my income planet back over here, which is going to cost some money to recruit with that back fleet. Holy shit! Look at the size of that.
Wow.
Holiday. Yep, that's how tyranny work. So you'll notice we're gaining unrest constantly. It is starting to drain more and more of our bar every turn. And I'm concerned. I have concerns about that. If we can conquer this, we can get ourselves a little bit more income. Damage boost for everybody. Murder, murder, murder. Okay, that should be the end of that. But still, like, whole volleys just being shot at absolutely nothing. Alright, unfortunately, this planet has fortified like 6 times, and so it has 13 defense. So we're probably not getting the extra income this turn. But that was a really high roll. Next turn maybe. Alright, one of our largest fleets has respawned and unfortunately has to be moved very slowly to the front. And I have to figure out what I want to do about this. So they have this insanely huge fleet that also has extraordinary luck and targeting focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that fighting it's a good idea, but it's definitely going to attack the planet that's producing a huge amount of our income. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna focus on grabbing this one. Still has orders. You still need orders. Yeah, I guess like go this way and really try to go around them. And I don't spend any money because I'm trying to just bank. I hate that a little bit, but
yeah.
Those agitators have to get put down. They are producing a lot of unrest. Ugh. Why can we not just flee? I mean, this is a waste of time, right? Yeah, you got the death ball. Nothing to be done about that. Except to, you know, go around it and make it not matter. Alright, please show me at least a 5. Alright. Took 3 dice to get there, but we did get there. So that's a little bit more tyranny. It's a little bit more money. And here's a question. Do I think we can handle this fleet with this fleet?
Yes.
You think so?
I agree that you think so.
I asked if... What? Are you having a stroke? What's happening? Am I having a stroke?
You asked if... You said, do I think... I being you in this case.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
telling
said-
you that yes,
I said, do I think, and
you
you agreed. You said, I agree that you think so. It's very confusing. I'm going to throw another ship on here. I'm not confident. We're going to throw one more large ship in the mix.
Okay.
Because this, obviously,
Does it feel like
this ship is huge. What? What?
I'm about to say, does the positioning really matter? Because they just shoot wherever
It matters for the party ball.
Okay.
A little bit. And it matters, like, group hug heals adjacent ships. So, like,
Okay.
the answer is sometimes.
Thing is, if you're gonna zero in on the military stuff to the degree that this has, just by dint of its emphasis on conquer and whatnot, this should be a lot more compelling. There should be a lot more juice here, I feel like.
I don't disagree.
Sorry, I feel like I'm being like really critical of this cutesy little game, but I don't understand why they would do it this way.
Okay. That helps a bunch. It reduces the unrest and increases our tyranny and gets us a whole bunch more income. Scouts have located a damaged probe of unknown origin. Scans show it contains an advanced sentient AI system. I guess we repair it. What will it do? It gives the fleet +1 move. I mean, that's okay. I guess that's something.
So,
except I don't know which direction I want to go, because what I mostly want to do is go whatever direction this fleet's not going in, right?
yeah. So all of the 4X games that we've encountered have narrative events.
Is that true?
Things.
Civ 6
Yes?
doesn't really, right? Well, I guess like when you encounter, I don't know that I would say I think Civ 6 has narrative events, really.
Okay. All right. Well, then, but the 2 Endless games did. Civ 7 did. This does.
Sure.
You know. Where would you rank this on narrative events? Is this like 3rd?
In terms of their quality, or
In terms of, well, by quality, I wouldn't just mean like the quality of the writing, but like how enjoyable and impactful do you find the narrative events here? Do they like how do you think they function as part of the design?
Jeez, I don't know.
Do you enjoy them? I don't.
I mean, I certainly don't enjoy them here.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you're allowed to fire your guns. Fucking step it up.
Do you enjoy them more than the events in Civ 7?
Well, I mean, like, can you ask a real question?
I'm trying. Like, I am trying to. So something that I think is important is that
The shit where all of my ships are like party down, never want to fire ever is not fun.
It's not great. Yeah.
Oh my god, just fire your fucking guns. Why are they getting so many random inspirations? If they win this battle, I swear to Christ. The amount of damage that one carrier did because my fleet decided to stop playing the video game.
Yeah.
Oh my god. See, you can see why I didn't spend a huge amount of time with this.
Yeah.
Because it is bad, to be clear. Kill them and take their stuff. I want stuff. Give me your money.
So
yeah,
as
36
far as,
months.
as far as like asking real questions, like I just, I am conscious of I've been perhaps less talkative this episode as I've been absorbing stuff, but also I'm not sure if I have a lot to say or to ask about this. I think that's because there's less game here to talk about. So I am trying to find a way to contribute.
Okay.
Is what I was trying to do. I do feel like the thing where you draw one card, you're going to have a card system, kind of bites.
So much unrest.
I feel like you could very easily have something where you could have a technology list. You draw extra cards, or you could spend crystals to draw cards. I mean, that feels like a thing that would have a bit, like just a tiny bit more meat to it.
Okay.
Because having 5 crystals, but only having 1 card each turn. Well, now we have 2, but you know what I mean.
Amabel, we found the juice. Woohoo, the juice.
Well, good.
So we win, right? I just hit enter and we win. We're going to 1410. Unless they take away the ultra rich city, but I literally can't do anything about that.
All right. Let's.
I interrupt your rebels action. Like, I couldn't, even if I were to put people around, it's not like I could stop them from taking it. So. If we oppress another money-making system, we can permanently increase its production at the chance of it rebelling. And if a system were to rebel right now, the consequences would be very bad. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to move all of our fleets and hit end turn.
Okay.
And unrest is so high that if we don't win in the next 2 turns, we're going to lose to the bar here. So that's fun. But I do believe this is over. Don't you dare, you fucker. You motherfucker. Okay, but we still got the money. Hooray, economic victory. Look at that. We did a non-military victory, Amabel.
Okay.
And every time we complete a scenario in this campaign, we gain a new title. So you can see I have been the smiting hand for using the death ray numerous times in my first game, the open palm for not using it all in my second game, the pitiless captain for having to play the game with the guy who was horribly injured. Yeah, and like I think this is kind of a neat system. You're developing epithets. Eater of slime. So we go back to Tyrant Command here.
Okay.
See, we get a check on there, and we delete 1 point of Senate forces in that region. We gain a perk, so we're permanently improving here. +1 death ray damage is bananas, actually. +1 extra ship on the death ray, so it becomes 2 to 4. And then, like, this is the idea. You're marching through these. If the Senate ever completely controls a sector, you lose. So, like, we would need to go to the Hive Worlds next, where the bee people live. We were facing a lot of technoslugs there because we were in the technoslug area. And then once we get full control of each of these, it unlocks the Senate. Or no, once we finish enough missions, maybe? This bar is filling in a way that I don't fully understand. The important thing is, eventually the Senate opens up, and you defeat the Senate, and that's how you win the campaign. So overall, it is a longer game, but each of the scenarios is meant to be like about an hour. And I think it sticks to that pretty well. We had that one run long, but I think that one was like, it got as close as possible to one victory, and then everything turned sideways, and then we had to approach a different victory, and like, I think the thing we saw there is about as long as they will ever be. So it does. I think it does do its, like, the thing it's aiming for, it's doing. I don't think that the thing it's aiming for is particularly valuable or interesting, but I do think it's successful at it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty much my assessment as well. Like,
and I really do appreciate the very silly galactic supervillain wahaha tone of it all.
Yeah.
And there's three different big factions. We're playing the Technoslugs now, and they have, each faction has its own lineup of ships and its own cards and stuff. There's also the space bees and these rabbit space marines going on. So I don't know. What do you think of this thing as a whole package?
I mean, I think you're right in that it's doing what it wants to do. I just am having trouble understanding why you would do it. And this is single player only?
Yeah, this is single player only.
Yeah.
The second you increase the complexity enough for there to be a second player, you're asking for bloat already.
And I think I do appreciate, as you said, the mwahaha space supervillain thing. I would like more of that and less hey, remember this thing reference humor?
Yeah. Because there are a bunch of games that have this sort of like Saturday morning cartoon vibe, and in my experience, they all do a lot of reference. I don't know why. This seems to be a thing that sort of just goes along with the tone.
See, that's crazy to me.
Weird.
Because like
it doesn't seem like those things would have to be connected.
So like So, like, you're familiar with Warhammer 40K,
I've heard of it.
which I think has some satirical elements.
Yeah.
Um, and it doesn't feel like it has a lot of reference humor. I mean,
No, not
maybe,
really. No.
you know. So, like, you could
Well,
do.
I mean, there's some reference humor, but it's like it's reference humor that, at least in the early going of Warhammer, there's more of that kind of stuff before it became like a mega property unto itself.
Yeah, or something I'm more familiar with is like Judge Dredd. Like,
Yeah.
I read a lot of early Judge Dredd comics.
Judge Dredd is
And
exactly the kind of thing that early Warhammer would make reference to.
okay, well, the thing with Judge Dredd,
Mhm.
is that you have this satire of this, basically very terrible dystopian government and law enforcement, and it doesn't. There are some reference humor stuff, but it's more about just like there's some teeth. There's some teeth to it,
Yeah.
and if you're gonna have me be like a genocidal space slug, give me that juice, and don't have the Big Lebowski in it.
Don't just have a random space slug say a thing that is from the Big Lebowski
That is
for,
so much
for literally
yeah.
no reason. Yeah.
You know what this does remind me of, though? This is just, this is my brain, I guess.
Pretty cool.
So there is I go to a lot of
Actually, hold on a second. Did you see the thing that just happened? I was like, hey, that was pretty cool before I really thought about it, because I'm just like playing the game in the background while you're talking before we end the episode. But I did definitely just use like a space catapult to fire an arcing projectile.
Yeah.
In a way that is 100% gravity based without really thinking about it.
That's pretty good.
Anyway, go on.
You know what? The story I was gonna okay, well, as I started, I go to a lot of thrift stores, and I go to a lot of like Goodwills and whatnot. And there's a Goodwill I go to sometimes when I'm traveling back from having been on the west side of the state.
Yeah.
And next door to it is a shop for weed people called The Dude Abides. He just has a big cartoon Lebowski,
Okay.
and I'm almost certain they don't have permission to do that.
Oh yeah, you think they didn't ask?
I don't think that's officially licensed.
Oh my god, come on now. A completely fleetless planet with 1 point of defense, spend a whole turn trying to conquer it and fail because there's a 0 on the die. That's the most Space Tyrant thing we could possibly close on, I think.
But I also
Look at how many ships I have. What do you mean 0? Ugh. Continue.
thank you for sharing this with me. I'm looking forward to what are we doing next.
You said, but I also, did you, are you, okay.
Oh, well, I was gonna say also like doing a Lebowski reference for like a weed thing, like it's so lazy. Like,
Yeah.
do it for like a rug store.
Yeah.
Put some effort into your reference humor. Random stores and also Space Tyrant.
Like a pet store that specializes in mustelids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
right.
that's going to be it for us for today, and obviously for Space Tyrant. There's not more than one episode worth of stuff to talk about here. Next time, we're going to be moving on to another game that is a little bit more modern, but in kind of the same vein, trying to collapse the Space 5X down into a lunch break. So come back for that. I think it's a little bit more. It's definitely a little bit more interesting. But if I may, it's drier. Like, to be perfectly honest with you, the tone of this does charm me a little bit. It does make me like the game a little bit better, and that's a bit of a problem I have with the thing we're approaching, is that it's sort of a dry take on the thing. We'll come back next time to see what it is, because apparently I'm being weirdly evasive about it, and we'll see you then.
You be evasive never.